Zero.
Really? Are
Yep.
we live?
Yeah.
Great.
It
That's
didn't
a
even say
Wow.
go. He
Jizzy,
just
the
said
countdowns have been
three, two,
getting
one,
worse. You used to
zero.
do such a great job. This
Zero.
time it was 1 and 0.
I said three,
And
Zero.
two, and then I laughed from your.
yeah, well, I had to interrupt you at 3 and 2. There was a pause, and then you said 1-0, and you didn't say you're live. You just said 1-0, and I was like, okay, whatever that means. Hey guys, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday,
Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday.
the show where
The
we
show where we
talk about
talk about
whatever's on your mind.
whatever's on your mind.
ここの私は桃もにびちこいけりやだあれの中だしてもあないね。Bobo Bagginson. When everyone else tries to copy you guys, you just say something weird and see how they do, and it makes it more fun. Makes it more fun for you.
Totally.
What? That's not what I said.
It's not.
What are you copying? No one said those things.
It is.
You did? Are you copying yourself right now?
Maybe.
You're probably saying those things in your head and then saying them out loud to copy them.
Hold on. Hi.
Hi.
That's what you said.
Okay. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about whatever's on your mind, whatever issues you might be going through in this life. We're here just to be a good friend, to give you support. There are many times we've messed up in our lives, and so we can help you mess up in yours. Avoid messing up in yours. That's what we're going with.
We're gonna help.
We aren't psychologists or psychiatrists. Yeah, that's right. That's how you learn, though. You mess things up and you learn. So, yeah, that's what makes life better. Is that? I see you've got a partner with you today. Who's that?
I do. He's kind of like you. So, like, on my screen now, for you guys, Ryan's like there, and I'm down here, right? But for me, Ryan's like right over here. So I had to have a protective buddy here, right? So like I had to put some dude in between us because seriously, like I was noticing some hostility. We just had a meeting.
Yeah, I'm feisty.
There was some, Ryan's on the little bit feisty side tonight. So I had to put my buddy. He's like kind of in law enforcement ish. He's a detective. He's gonna make sure that I stay protected.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you guys can make sure you stay protected too. If you guys go to the bss.studio, you can buy your own protection plushie today. Was that a good advertisement? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And today it's
now he's Super Saiyan.
Everything's 20% off for the rest of today. And the coupon code, Jesse pinned the message at the chat. Coupon code is launch party at checkout. I know some of you guys had a problem. We had a little bit of a glitch when we first launched the store. That the code, like we noticed people would go in and they would put together their order and they'd see how much the price was. And then it was almost like they'd be like, okay, well, let me go figure out, make sure I have the money. And so they would back out of the purchase and then come back to order it, and then they'd put the coupon code in, and it'd be like, you already used this coupon code, and it'd be like, no, I didn't. I actually didn't finish the purchase. So it was a weird glitch, and we got it figured out. There's unlimited uses on that 20% off. You can use it as many times as you want until it ends tonight. So, but go there. I am caught up on shipments. I want to not be.
Nice. He wants to be, he wants to have a lot of shipments that will hold him back from doing other things.
Yes. So
he wants to be behind. So order your protective detective today.
Anytime you get anything from that store, it's coming from me.
That's right. And Joe sends it with love. And in every shipment, one free box.
You do. You get a free box. And the box is a character. You get a box for free.
Yes, right? For free.
It might look like
All
this
right.
one.
Wow, that looks just like a box. Box
Except-
Goon. It'll be closed. And box will be written right on it. Brilliant.
Just like that.
I
That's like your
I
bonus.
just have to laugh at the shipment companies that take those in and they're like, why is this labeled box? Do people not know this is a box? This is obviously a box. Why label it? What? Why do these people write box on the side of their boxes?
Dude, yesterday I dropped off 43 of those at the post office.
Yeah.
And
Did they make
tomorrow I'm
mention
gonna
of
go
it?
back, tomorrow I'm going back with like
Oh.
30. And they were asking what we sell. And so I was telling them, about Criminal Idol. I was telling them about the different products and stuff that are in there. But they didn't ask about box being written on the box. But of course, I don't think they got a good look at them yet. So like when I go in tomorrow with my next load of boxes that say box on them, I'm gonna see
Gotta
what
make
they
sure
say.
you point the word box outward so that when they grab them, they immediately are confronted with box, just to see if they say anything. Also, Master Leia, that's pretty clever. You remove the X from box and you put mber and you get bomber. Nice.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And Saul
All
says,
right.
do you take cash on your online store? Unfortunately, no. We do take PayPal. And with PayPal, you can use a credit or debit card with a PayPal account, I'm pretty sure. So,
Yeah.
I'm not, that's kind of out of my pay range. I ship the stuff.
You get paid to do that?
No. So that's outside of my pay range too, but
That's
out of
outside
my
your pay range, buddy.
realm of responsibility. I write box on the boxes and I fill them with stuff and I send them out. And it's good.
We're basically running a charity here. No one gets paid.
And I have to mention this too. Free shipping in the United States. And $10 shipping everywhere else. And you know what? I put together the shipping labels and I know how much we pay for shipping.
It's not nice.
You guys are getting a heck of a deal.
Yeah, you guys are getting a good deal.
And you don't even need a coupon for that. Like we just baked that in. Like we're just like, hey, free shipping. Because we're crazy, man. Kyle is crazy. That's right. Ryan's brother Kyle, he's crazy. If you came, you might not think he's crazy because he's like pretty laid back and he's very calm and cool and collected. He's crazy.
Unless you disagree with something he says.
And
he's crazy up front and cool and calm in the
back. Yes.
All right.
Awesome. Anyway,
so let's dive into the show, eh?
Let's do that.
You guys are all awesome. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for waiting for us and allowing us to advertise on top of your face. And we hope that you aren't offended. So let's get into the show. Hey, looks like we got a couple people here. But I don't know if anyone that's here has a post. I'm going to go through the topics that we have. If you hear your name, write the letter L followed by the letter Z. 135-972-487-556 in the chat, and we will get to your post. We've got Saigo, aka Royal, Sevlev, SK, Princess, and Yume, aka Cherry. Are any of you here? I know that one person is here of that list. That's not. I don't think that's my number.
What is that?
I don't think that's my number.
That's your number?
Yeah, I have no idea what I said. But I acknowledge that you tried, and I appreciate that a lot. Because I would do a worse job, I think, of what than what you just did. So at least you remembered the first two letters, and that there were numbers that followed. I don't remember at all. Anyways, Princess is here, so why don't we start with hers? And again, if any of you have anything on your mind that you'd like us to talk about, please do share. That way we have something to talk about while we're here, and you don't just hear us I don't know, talk about nonsense or I don't know, advertise all over your face the whole entire stream. You know? So if any of you want us to talk about anything at all, write in the chat. But for now, this one is titled Applying for Grad School by Princess.
Hey everyone! It's been a while since I've been watching Don't Worry Wednesday. I was there when it was still with Derek and I was moving into a new dorm asking how to make friends. And now I'm at the crossroad of graduating from undergrad and being encouraged to go get my PhD. I feel unsure of what the future holds and what path I should take. I also forgot to post the topic, so Joe, it's probably oh wait, he didn't. Okay.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
I didn't know if I wanted to pursue it, but I also know it could open up more opportunities. It's also a tricky time as there is limited funding and I don't know if I'm enough to get in as is. I don't have as many projects under my belt as much as I have organizational history. Do you have any advice on figuring out the future or applying to grad schools? Much love, Princess.
Thank you. Thanks for the topic, Princess. Thanks for reading it as well. This is an interesting question. I think that on some of this topic, Joe's going to have a lot more personal experience with and a lot more answers for you as far as college and all of that goes. I was only in college for 2 short years, and I decided to drop out because of figuring out what I wanted my future to hold and what I felt like it would hold, and following that. So I think there's a decent amount that we can talk about here, especially about you know, figuring out what you want to do with your future. How do you go about doing that, and then also how do you pursue it? Very important stuff. Very important. So, anyways, I'm gonna give it over to Joe and see what he's got for this.
Why, thank you. I do have some experience in college, and Princess, thank you so much for the topic. This can be really, really tricky because you look at I have a lot of friends who went to college. I myself went to college for a long time. And it's interesting because the results vary, based on what career path, based on what study people were in. There's all kinds of variables in whatever it is you're going through, right? Now, it does seem to me that a lot of people who got degrees in certain fields, like if they, it might be, they might find a job easier. And also if they lose it, it might be easier for them to find another one that pays well, if that makes sense, right? Just because they have that degree, and I don't know, once you get past the bachelor's degree, and you start to specialize for your master's and your PhD, once you start going down that road, the fact, like if you're a doctor, but there are no openings in that specific field, then you're probably going to end up in the same boat as a person with a bachelor's degree, like in the regular job market, right? So a lot of times it's very interesting because sometimes people, a lot of times, it's tough to say. I don't want to be offensive, and I hope none of this gets to be offensive, but a lot of times people will look at their degree and they'll look at their accomplishment and all that work they put in, which is a ton of work and a ton of effort, right? And then they will feel like they're entitled to something, to like maybe more pay or more prestige at whatever job they get because they have, doctor next to their name or whatever, right? It just kind of goes with the territory. And in those specific fields, absolutely, yes, they have that experience and that education and that knowledge and everything. And so they kind of command that level of respect. One of my best friends throughout college who, he went into the Army, he was a party animal, right? I mean, this guy was we partied a lot.
All right.
In college, right? And he's a professor now. Yep. He went and he got his PhD in literature, some kind of literature. I don't know if it's English or something. But now he's a professor. He's a PhD. He's a professor at a college where one of my cousins is now taking one of his classes. Which is
Nice.
very interesting because it's like, oh, do you know Dr. So and so? Yeah, he's my teacher for whatever lit class. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, oh man.
I have
And
a
I
history with that guy you don't want to see.
Guy was my best friend, like from
Oh, that's
sixth
great.
grade until,
Wow.
like we were roommates in college and there was all kinds of stuff, we got into
That's
all kinds
cool.
of trouble together. But it's hilarious. But anyway, so I guess the question is, if you want to pursue this, why? I understand people put a lot of like the people we know, our friends and our family, sometimes they will put a lot of pressure on us, or they'll put a lot of value on getting a PhD because there's a certain amount of respect that goes along with that. But the question is, what kind of results are you planning on getting from that? And then is it worth going through that amount of student debt, or paying for those classes, and taking that time, because really the benefit is going to be if you find a job in that specific field, and if there's some kind of opening. And they're usually, if you take a look at the grand national scale, like, okay, all of the United States of America, probably you're going to find an opening in whatever position, but you can't limit yourself to a certain region. You'd have to basically say, all right, I'm willing to move wherever and I'll go there. And sometimes it's a global thing. Sometimes they're going to want you to go to Germany or Switzerland, or they're going to want you to go who knows where, right? So there are always those possibilities. Princess says, going through the work wouldn't be an issue if I made it in, because I know I can do it. I can make my way through something like that. Absolutely. Absolutely. You are a very sharp individual. Like from our conversations, I know that you would do just fine in that program. Absolutely. So then the question is, do I want to spend the money, and do I want to spend the time doing that based on the results that I could get? And like I said, that will vary. Now, on the other hand, I went to college for 8 years and I never got any degree. I just went to school. I just took classes. And I took classes in all kinds of great stuff. And the reason was because it was really the reason I went to college was different than most people. I didn't have a path of study that I was pursuing. The reason I went to college was because health insurance was available to me if I was a full-time student. And I got free tuition at the community college in the city that I live in because my mom was full-time faculty at that college. So it was a free way for me to have health insurance at the time until I got a full-time job at the music company that I was working for at the time. When they offered me a full-time job and then that had health insurance, then I was done being a student. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this job. Right now, just because I didn't get a degree, that doesn't mean that I didn't learn a lot of great stuff, because I did. And I continue to learn a lot of great stuff. I'm a lifelong student. I read, I listen to audios, I watch videos, I learn things as much as I possibly can because I love learning. But I never got a degree. So then you take my brother, for example. My brother, he went and got his master's degree in forestry. And that landed him a state job where he made not a very big salary. And he had, the student loans and everything from his master's degree. And now he owns a fuel delivery company. So it's very interesting. Like our life path, it's weird. And it can get really, really strange. So if this is if this is a course of study that interests you, if this is something that you really like doing, then absolutely do it. Because, there will probably be something for you to do in that field somewhere. And you could do it. You totally can. You're smart enough, and, you absolutely could finish that program. But then the question is, because as episode 2 states, we never know where life might take us, which is literally true.
Not because I said it, just I was stating the obvious.
Yeah, you were saying it because it's true. It's not true because you said it.
That's right. That's
Right.
right. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that for the world in case they thought that it was the other way around. It's just not.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, if you're doing it to make other people happy with you, then I would advise against it. If you're doing it because a lot of people tell you it's a good idea, then I would advise you to take a closer look at it. If you're doing it because you like the field of study and it's something you really like to pursue, then yes, do it. But because we know that, because we know that we don't know what's going to happen, then the time spent pursuing a specialized high-level degree, I think, could be better spent figuring out, what it is you want your life to be about. If it's not something that you're totally into. If it's something you're totally into, that course of study, do it. Absolutely. If it's not, then I would take whatever the degree you have. I don't remember if you're getting your bachelor's or your master's now. But either way, that level of degree can get you a decent paying job that you can work while you figure out what you want your life to be about. So honestly, I think judging by watching my friends go through various levels of higher education, the ones who made a high-level degree like a PhD, made it worth it, were those people who figured out this is what my life's going to be about. And they did it. My buddy, he has always loved literature. He has always loved reading. Like, he was the kid in 10th or 11th grade that was like, man, have you read this Leo Tolstoy novel? I'm like, no.
Mm-mm. No one has in this school.
Right.
Not even the teachers. What are you doing?
Right.
What are you trying to do right now?
Exactly. That's
Why is that a
all
question?
about that stuff, right? And so that was a perfect thing for him to do. And so, yeah, okay, Bachelor of Science in Applied Science Biology. That can take you a long ways, for sure. For sure. There are a lot of positions that would be available with that. So, but it's up to you. No matter what you decide, you're going to be okay. Whether you get in or not to a particular college or program or whatever, it's going to be okay. But whatever you do it for real. That's one of the things that I have learned the hard way so many times, is starting down a path and figuring out, you know what, I'm just gonna kind of stick my foot in here and taste it a little bit and try a little bit and whatever. No, it only works if you throw yourself into it all the way. Especially when we're talking about advanced level degrees and stuff like this. You're going to throw yourself into it. And you know what? You'll be all the better for it if you do it. And if you decide not to, you can find something else to throw your heart into. But either way, that's what it'll take. And hopefully that makes some sense. I really appreciate the topic, and I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. So Ryan, take it away.
Thanks, Joe. I think you said a lot of really great stuff, and it gave me time to think about it as well, for sure. Going in, I was like, man, what am I going to say? But there's actually a lot to say here. So there's a couple of things off the bat I want to make mention of. Oh,
Did you
yeah.
see her recent post there?
Yes. And as well, she stated before, one of the things she really likes to do, something she would like to pursue is lab research. And sorry, not lab research, research in general and in lab, right? But to pursue that is awesome. It's an interesting thing because research is the objective of finding that which you do not know. And when it comes to research in science, it's finding that which no one knows, right? Because if you're trying to establish something within the world that a new law of physics, or perhaps a new understanding of a particular chemical, a new understanding of a biological organism, or an ecosystem, or whatever, right? All sorts of different fields when it comes to research. When you're trying to establish something there, you're trying to create and find something in the world that hasn't yet been understood. And the thing that's interesting to me there is, while of course the more you understand about the world, the more you have available to you to find out, to work towards your research, right? Similarly though, or sorry, opposite of that, the more time you spend researching, because here's the thing, you can go to school, but you're not going to learn the things you're trying to find out that's new, because the world already knows those things. Your objective is to find new things, right? As someone who is a researcher. So you can't go to school for those things. These are things you have to do outside of school. And that's where you get your job. So my point is, you're already really good at this. To spend more time in college might not help you get better, but spending more time in college might give you a bigger base from which to have an understanding of the thing you're researching. It allows you to have more of a pool of things you can think about when trying to understand what you're researching. So I see benefits to both sides. You wrote, I know that's what I want to do. And I want to be able to make a living off of it so I can hang out and help push forward BSS and stuff. And I think that's super awesome.
Yeah, 'cause she loves working in a lab.
Right, because she loves working in the lab. And I think that that's something that is unique to you, and it's a beautiful thing, right? So instead of trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, because that's important, right? But instead of trying to figure out the root of like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? Here's the thing. You posted this before, and I really liked this. Or in your actual question, you say, I feel unsure of what the future holds and what path I should take. Fantastic. Welcome to life. Everyone experiences that. You aren't alone in feeling unsure of what the future holds. You aren't alone in not knowing what path you should take. The point of life isn't to be certain on those things. And we can never be certain on those things. But we feel more calm. And even though we are unsure of the path, if we can trust in our own ability to make it work, then the unsurety doesn't cause any anxiety. It doesn't cause distress, right? So if you're worried about the future, what it holds, I would say find faith in God and find trust in yourself that you can pull through no matter what happens. And you always have to date. You still exist. You're doing all right, right? You're doing fine. Obviously, we all have our parts of us that we want to change and work on. Good. But you're doing good so far. So my point is, don't worry about if you're feeling a little insecure, don't worry about that feeling, because you have no reason to feel that. We don't know what the future holds, but all you can do is take it and give it your all while you're there in the present. And so again, don't worry about the future in the sense of worry, in the sense of I don't know where I'm going. I don't feel like I have a direction. More so, it's important to trust in yourself and take a direction and make it work. Like Joe was saying, throw yourself at it. Don't kind of dip. You have to decide and then make your decision work. I think that's probably the best way you can go about anything in life. So here's something that's interesting about this. Rather, this is what I would recommend for you to do at this point. Remember, I said, don't get caught up in trying to decide your future right now. Instead, what I want you to do is pull out a piece of paper and write a list of things that are important to you, that are fundamentally important to you. Write down family. Write the things that you want to see your future hold. Like, I want kids. I want a dog, whatever, right? Kind of plan out your idea of something that you would like to have in the future. Not immediately, just where you want to see yourself kind of ending up in at certain points in your life. And things that you want to have strong success in, rather. Things you want to have success in. So family, I want to have success with my family, in dealings with my family, holding my relationships, so friends, right? And then adding on to that, your career. So the things that you really like. Oh, I like working in a lab, so I'd love to see myself as a lab assistant, or someone who maybe even owns a lab, who, whatever, right? Put it out on a piece of paper, write down everything, and look it over. And then weigh the pros and cons. You take your piece of paper, which you've written down all of the things that are good to you, the things that you want to see yourself having, the things that are important to you. And then you take college and you write down, like going to university. What are the pros and cons of that directly relate to the list you just wrote? So just say, okay, how does going to college help me with my family? Does it hinder or help? Can it help? Can it hinder? Look at those and be honest. Try to weigh your odds, but be honest and look at it and say, okay, it helps here, or it might disintegrate things here. Then go to the next line on your list of the things that you think are important to you. And then say, okay, if I go to college, does it help me here? And I think that if you can do that, I can't guarantee that will give you your answer, but I at least give your heart a feeling for it. Sometimes we have to do things to provoke an emotional reaction out of ourselves so that we know where our heart lies, so that we know whatever we decide, we can follow our heart. And why is that important? Our heart isn't always right. That's important to note. Our heart isn't always right. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we can look at our heart and go, oh, that's wrong. I have to do it this way. Sometimes our heart has an enemy in its own self, and our heart leads us away from our heart. And that's weird. That's part of being human. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we provoke that emotion out of us because we know that if our heart lies on one side of the road, we are more likely to be successful in it because we can fully devote ourselves to it because our heart is in it, right? And if on the other side, if we go, okay, this my heart isn't for this, we can expect based on our past that when our heart's not in it, a lot of times we get lazy with it. We start to back off. Like we might have a good strong start, but then we kind of back off and then we're not as good with it, right? Because our heart isn't in it. Continuing further along another path, the last kind of thing I wanted to talk about is this. The expectations from your parents. They might not be expectations like you think. What I mean is this. If you feel like, actually I got to talk to you in person. Your mom is helping you find a grad school to go to, and you guys have been talking about it. Now, sometimes we think we're being compelled. And now, again, I'm not trying to say in any way like you're being forced or you shouldn't go, right? I'm not trying to say that at all. Maybe you really should go. I want to leave that up for you to decide because it's not my responsibility, and it would be wrong for me to try to make that decision for you. Right? It's not my place. But anyways, your mom or your dad might look at this and see, wow, she's going to grad school, or she has the ability to go to grad school. So they might identify you as, even if you are undecisive in it and you go to them and say, I'm not sure if I really want to, they might look at you and go, wow, look at my daughter, how ambitious and how incredibly far she's gone. I'm going to root for her success. Going to grad school is no little thing. That takes an exorbitant amount of intelligence and time spent. So I'm going to root for her. I'm going to try to push her to get that extra mile, because that's an achievement that demands respect. It is a beautiful thing, right? It's a very difficult thing, and therefore it is beautiful. It requires a certain amount of time and sacrifice. So it's like if I had a friend who was doing a race and they almost made it to the finish line. It doesn't make them any more healthy. It doesn't make their life any better if they make it to that finish line. But because they're so close, I'm going to root for them. I'm going to push them, and I'm going to try to say what I can to get them to cross the finish line, even though the finish line doesn't change anything. In fact, the finish line might be a nuisance. It might cause more problems than help. And all it does is kind of give a little boost of like, hey guys, I finished. But in the end, they end up with like issues with their muscles that have been pulled for the next 14 weeks, or something crazy, right? And I was like, yeah, that wasn't worth it. That wasn't worth it at all. That was like man, I should have just stopped when I was, so far. Now I'm unhealthy, right? It's that you look at somebody. It's that situation where you look at somebody and they've gone so far, and so you want to help them and push them even farther, even though that might not be good for them. So my point in saying that is this: their expectations might not be that they're trying to force you to do something because that you're unsure of. It might just be that, like, trying to push you to do something that they think that you have gone so far from, and they don't want you to give up. And so, that sort of mentality. So ultimately, what I'm saying by that is, consider that and try not to let other people and their expectations decide for you, right? Because there's always that, they expect me to do this because they believe incorrectly that this would help me. Well, it might not even be that. It might be all in good heart that they don't know whether it'd be healthy or not for you, but they're just pushing you because you've come so far. Why stop now? So my point is, again, it might not be, it would be unwise to take other people's points and decide based on that. What I really liked is what Lay said. I'm going to go back to what Lay said, and he said, the best thing I can give you in terms of this topic, you have to remember, if you start chasing any titles, remember that you have to do it for yourself. Sit down, take a few good minutes, calm yourself down, silence yourself down, and ask yourself, do I want it? And I think that that's important, because if you're not invested emotionally, and I say this specifically for your personality, because your personality is very strong and in a good way, led by your heart, led by your emotions, right? That's a good thing, because you are extremely active because of it. But if your heart isn't set on it, if your heart isn't good with following through with college, or if your heart isn't good with deciding not to, right? Pick whatever your heart lies with, basically, because you're going to need that to motivate you to get to the next hole, especially if you don't know where you're going, just like any of us. You can push through it, right? Even if you're not invested, but is it worth it? And that's the question. Is it worth it? So that's why I'm saying, pull out a piece of paper, write down the things that are important to you and the things that you want to see in your life. And then decide based on those things, because those are the important things. That's what actually matters. It doesn't matter whether you go to college or not. It matters what you get out of it, right? And so the question is, do I get what is important to me out of it? Is it worth my time? And then hopefully that'll give you an answer. It'll at least pull your emotions in a direction to help you start finding an answer. But yeah, obviously I said that and I repeated myself, but I wanted to make it very clear that you should try to do that. But I'm going to give it over to Joe. Joe, do you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, well, first of all, Ryan, I think you covered all the points that I didn't. If I,
I hoped to.
And that was awesome, and I loved what you were saying, because it is totally true. You don't have to have it all figured out before you start down a path. We did talk some about figuring out who you are, figuring out where you want to go, figuring out what you want, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be 100% clear before you start.
Right.
And so don't expect that it will be clear before you start, and don't expect that it will be clear even a year from now. Because seriously, it's not even all that clear to me. My own life, I'm 42 years old. You think I'd be well established in stuff, right? And I know people who have had careers for longer than some of you have been alive, and they're not fulfilled in them, and they're still trying to figure it out, right? So it's crazy. We don't always have to figure it out. There was this movie I saw when, I can't even remember where this came from, but this quote always stuck with me. And it was the quote, basically what this person was saying was, what, not everybody, in fact, most people don't like their jobs, because this guy was talking about how his job didn't make him happy and all this kind of stuff, right? And so this gal says, most people don't like their jobs. So what you do is you go out there and you find something that makes you happy. You do something, right? You do something outside of work. And really, we as you're pursuing a degree, a lot of times we pursue the career that lies at the end of the degree. And then what happens is a lot of people find out, they get into that career and they find out that the career doesn't really fulfill them. And I know that you know this, Princess, and I'm going to say it for anybody else that's listening too. And that is that fulfillment will never lie in a job. Fulfillment will never lie in a degree. It will never lie in, a spouse. Your fulfillment won't ever be if you have kids, or if you get a dog, or if you have a house with 3.5 cars and a white picket fence and whatever, right? All these things, they kind of get thrown in front of our face as, what, if you attain this, it will bring you fulfillment, and it won't. All of the things in this world are empty. Now, some of them are not that they're not good things, but it's just, if we're trying to rely on these things for our own internal fulfillment, it never will happen. Because our fulfillment comes from God. It's an inside job. Right? St. Augustine said, our hearts are restless until they rest in God. And it's literally true. I can tell you, I have chased so many things. I've chased so many shiny objects. I've chased so many good and noble things. Ways of education, an apprenticeship in instrument repair, which turned out to be awesome. I loved doing instrument repair. It was wonderful. But you know what? Every job, anytime I ever got a job, even if I pursued it, you know what happened? It was the same as any other job. There were people I had to deal with that I didn't like, and there were people that I liked. And there was, politics, company politics, and there were schedules, and there was all kinds of weirdness and stuff like that, right? It was hilarious. I was talking to I don't know if I want to give names, but there's a guy I know whose wife just graduated from pharmacy school. She's now a doctor in the era of pharmaceuticals, like in the area of pharmaceuticals, the era.
This is the era of
This
pharmaceuticals,
is
though.
the
You were
era of
correct.
pharmaceuticals. But
uh.
she just graduated and she got a job at a pharmacy at a store, right? And you know, it was crazy. I was talking to him and I was listening to this recounting of this story, and I was like, that sounds exactly when I worked at a store as a stock boy, because I've got a manager to deal with and I got that person's schedule to deal with, and I've got, you know, they're telling me when I'm supposed to show up and they're telling me all this kind of stuff. It's just like, so
It's retail.
all the stuff, exactly. It was retail.
Retail is retail.
It's like, this sounds exactly the same. And it is, except for she's there at a much higher level, right? She has a specific job that, you know, commands a much higher pay rate. And I was like, wow, but all the internal little weird things, they were all the same, right? So I was like, huh, that is so interesting. The duties changed, the responsibilities changed, but all the little machinations that surrounded it, those are all the same. And I was like, that is so very interesting to me, because it helped me understand that no matter what success we pursue, that success isn't the end. And so I love that what you're talking about, Princess. You said, I like working in a lab, and it's something that I could do to make a living while I do other things like help BSS, you know, move forward. And I'm a little selfish in that because I want to see BSS move forward too.
Yeah.
And I love that you're with us. And no matter what you decide to do, understand that we will love you here for sure. That will never, ever, ever change. Ever. Even, you know what? You could even like denounce us. You could tell the world I'm a jerk, and you could post all kinds of photos about me, you know, with what I will still love you. It does not matter, because I know your heart. I know that there's good in your heart, and I know some of that goodness from getting to know you a little bit. And you know what? Honestly, that goes for everybody here in the chat. I know something about you. I know that there is good in your heart. No matter how much of junk you might feel like at any given time, no matter how bad you might think you are, I know there's good. And I know there's wonder, and I know there's purpose. And I hope that in some way, shape, or form, just being in contact with us for however long, whether it's for the rest of your life or whether it's for just right now, I hope that if anything, I can inspire you to understand that fulfillment isn't going to lie in whatever success you have. Those successes are going to be great, and you should pursue them, and you should run after stuff, and you should try, and you should examine your life, and you should try and figure out what you're built to do on this crazy planet, because you were built to do something. But understand, fulfillment is totally outside of that. Fulfillment is between you and your creator. And I run around, you know, and I continue to be reconvinced of this all the time. And I didn't want to turn this into a religious talk, so I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And so before I get myself into any greater trouble, I'm turning it over to Ryan, and he's going to finish it up. So
awesome.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, there's one last thing I want to say on this before we move on.
That I'll hand you.
Mess. Hey, I'll just take the mess and go. Hey guys, I'm over here. No, so there's one last thing I want to say, that is this. If you want a career in a specific thing and you already kind of know what it is, maybe you don't know exactly what it is, but you know the idea of it. This goes out to everybody here. And this is something that is important even for members of the BSS, right? the thing is, the thing you got to do is this. All right. Ask yourself, what kind of job would I enjoy? Step 2, start doing it.
Mhm.
Step 3, expand from there. That's all. When it comes to how I gained any amount of success as a audio producer, a songwriter, a singer, anything. Basically step 1 was identifying it, and step 2 was just doing it. When it came to learning how to sing, what did it take? Doing it, singing, practice. When it came to learning how to play the piano, practice. When it came to learning how to write music, do it, practice. When it came to walking, practice. When it came to speaking English, practice. It all comes down to just do it. And I know that's a silly meme, but if you want to do something with your life, you got to just start doing it. Now, obviously, there are certain options that aren't available to us, and that's why we go to college, right? Some people require, hey, you have to do this before we can allow you in our company. But if that's not holding you back anymore, then don't hold yourself back. Start doing it, and you'll become better and better at it, right? When I worked at like Taco Bell, right? Taco Bell is not a renowned job that you had to work into, right? You can kind of get hired regardless of your history. In fact, if your history is too good, they won't hire you. It's true. When I started working at Taco Bell, how did I do it? Well, they just put me in a position. I started doing it. And the more I act in that position, the better I got, right?
Mhm.
And that was important. That's how you work your way up in any field. So anything you're interested in, maybe you want to be a chef when you grow up. Maybe you enjoy good food and you want to produce your own good food. Well, start making food. Start learning. I know it's dumb, but just do it. And I hate that that's a meme, but anyways, you kind of get the point. And so, Princess, if you want to work in a lab and you enjoy doing that, go work in a lab and enjoy it. You just start and you expand from there. You constantly think, okay, hey, I'm doing this. This is great. This isn't the end game. It's never the end game. So wherever you end up, if you go, cool, I got into a lab and I'm working at a lab, it's not the end game. You're just starting. So keep on going with it, right? And then as you work through the lab, figure out, okay, how do I expand from here? How do I do more? Maybe I'm working in the lab, but I don't want to be in this division. Or maybe I'm working in this lab, but I could see myself being farther up, doing more things, or doing different kind of research. Either way, if there's something that you're interested in, you want to do, start doing research on it. Obviously sometimes you require tools, but you can at least get into it, even just on the internet. But you get the idea. My point is, if you want to excel in any career, you have to start doing the career and excel from there. You can't expect to excel and then come into the career already excelled. It doesn't work like that usually. The best way to get a foot on anything in life is to actually just start doing it. And if you want a repertoire of incredible, like, wow, he did this, awesome honorations, like I could say, oh, I wrote a song that has over 95 million plays across the world, right? I didn't do that and then get into music, right? I got into music, which caused that to happen. And so you can't get that kind of stuff out of college. My point is this: you can go to college if it's right for you and if it helps you in where you want to go with life. But don't wait for college to already start working on your career. You might find that you would be way farther ahead if you just worked on your career rather than going to college before you decided to take up your career, if that makes sense. Now, Princess, I already know that you are employed by people and do work in a lab. So there's already something that you can you already have a sort of a background in the job, which other people can look at if you wanted to get into another business doing similar things. Anyways, that being said, thank you so much for the topic. We appreciate you so much and all that you do for us. And yeah, it was a good topic. And I hope that made sense. I hope that gives you an idea of what to do next. If not an immediate idea, I would suggest, again, writing down on a piece of paper the things that you value and seeing how the idea of college and going through that might help to work in advancement of those things or might get in the way of those things. Cool. All right. And I appreciate you guys too. Aw.
And we appreciate you. Princess, for those of you who don't know, Princess, she's our chat room hostess, and she also keeps us on track. You know, she keeps us knowing, you know, what time it is, how long we've been talking about topics, and then also like all the topics you guys post for us. She keeps them all in a spreadsheet for us so we can, you know, easily know what's coming and who's there. I mean, she does so much for this show.
She does.
It's incredible. So Princess, thank you so much for all that you do for us,
really
for this show. And I've always had a dream for you to be a full-time staff member at BSS, but we got a whole bunch of people that need to be full-time staff members at
yeah,
BSS.
we do, and we also don't have a lab yet.
We don't have a lab.
Yeah, we do have a research department. We do have a research department, but it is in no way a lab.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, no lab. Ah, darn. Bummer. Yeah, sorry. One of these days, if for some reason it helps.
If for some reason we get into biotech.
Yeah, we get into that technology and etc. Okay. Thank you so much for the topic. Let's go on to the next one. Lay, you still here. Awesome. Lay, we're gonna move on to yours.
Yes.
Make DD real, yes. With biotechnology.
I got to make an announcement.
Go for it.
2 hours left for the promotion, the launch party promotion. I mentioned to Jesse to pin that top comment up at the top, and I don't know if he's AFK or what. But at any rate, 2 hours to get 20% off your whole purchase on the Static P Criminal Idol merch. Go there, check it out. The link's up there in that pinned message. Yes, we need to change the pinned message on live chat. Yes, it still says 3 hours. I know. And quite frankly, because I know who put the coupon code into effect, it's probably going to last more than 2 hours. It's probably going to still last 3 hours from now. But, oh, look at that. Somebody took it down.
Whoa. Hey, hackers. Hackers. All right.
Hey, there it
thanks,
is.
Jesse.
Look at that. Jesse's the man. All right.
Yeah, get your Criminal Idol merch, guys. They're selling, and
like this guy.
I've only got so many, so it's gonna be pretty cool. If you get them, you're gonna love them. Guarantee. If you get anything from BSS, you're gonna love it. I've been impressed and surprised at the quality of these items and the durability, and they're just so good. I've got with me, got a book and a USB drive in this beautiful, beautiful crafted box. So make sure you get on that. Go get in on that. All right, let's do the next topic. What do you guys say? Lay, you're still with us, right? Oh, sweet turtle dude. Thanks. That's so great. Where do you order it to? Just out of curiosity, not your address, but you live as like a semi-truck driver. Is there a specific way that like a place for semi-truck drivers to pick mail up specifically, or is it sent to like a house that you have? Just out of my own curiosity, feel free to not share anything you don't want to. Actually, that might prove problematic. Do I look like I'm ready? Yeah, you look like you're always ready. I won't look at your eyes. I don't need to. You're always ready. I just know it.
Yes, and Criminal Idol is on Spotify now. I have listened to the entire album on Spotify at least 4 times while I'm packing and shipping all of your guys' stuff that you're ordering.
Nice.
Because I'm just like, I always get myself into the mood of, the static P while I'm down there working, like
Nice.
unless I happen to be on a live stream with you guys while I'm working.
Fair. Master Lay, you said looking in your eyes might prove problematic, and you're probably right, because I would probably fall in love with you, even more so than I already have. So let's get on to your topic.
Yes.
This is Lay. The topic title is Needing Help, and Princess will do the honors of reading it for us.
Honestly, I am struggling against myself. Like, I find myself constantly sad, stressed, disappointed, powerless, and heartbroken for no reason at all. Nothing has to even happen anymore. A regular day just goes by, and at the end of it, I get the same feeling of powerlessness as in the lowest points of my life. I started thinking of seeing a specialist about it. I told my parents that I would like to get a visit as sort of a cry for help, but my mom just shrugged it off as saying that she is a specialist too. And my dad heard me out, and as I cried out my deepest wounds to him and then forgot about it, but why don't you go yourself? Well, for one, I'm increasingly afraid of me just being a hypochondriac. I'm afraid that I'll just be wasting time while other people who might need help more than I do would just have to wait because of me. That being said, if I really do need help, I'm afraid that without anyone pushing me to keep me going on visits, I would just disregard them and keep fighting the problems alone. Second of all, I'm afraid it would intrude my studying. For example, if I were given medication, I wouldn't fancy going through dropping out of university again. And then I'm also afraid of the pandemic outside. I guess seeing an online therapist could be a solution for now, but if I didn't feel so extremely uncomfortable about talking about these issues in my home, where at least one person would get to hear my ramblings. From Lay.
All right. Thanks, Lay. Yeah, that sounds rough. I have a lot that I could talk about on this topic, and I hope in one way or another we can help to push you in a direction that you can find the solution to this. This is, I think this is something that you aren't alone on by any means. I think, sometimes you're in this situation where it's like nothing even happens and you just feel sad, you feel powerless, you get all this feeling. And it's like, yeah, but why? Nothing's even going wrong in my day, and that's totally relatable. And so I feel for you. And I think that I know that you can get through this. And I very much expect you to. You're a strong individual, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you progress through this, because this isn't something that's all bad. Sometimes progressing through these things, actually, we come out on top, not just knowing, okay, now I know how to solve this, but even more so, we find more security in ourselves and who we are, regardless of what's going on around us. This is how we train ourselves to be strong outside of just, the moment. When things are going crashing down, it's moments like these that help us later in life, when things are crashing down, to be sure of ourselves, to be strong. So this is a beautiful moment in your life, and you might not see it that way, but I want to assure you that it's not it's not all in vain. It's not just it's not just like you fell from a ladder and now it's just all bad news from here. You can always climb back up that ladder. And yeah, but anyways, I'm gonna go over to Joe. I know Joe has experience in this field as well. And I'm going to allow him to shed his wisdom upon you.
Wow. Well, I certainly appreciate the topic, and I can absolutely relate to your situation. And I would encourage you that no matter what seems to be going on in your home and with the people around you, I would definitely pursue seeking a specialist. I would definitely do that. And here's why. Because I did that. And the reason, like, here's the thing. A lot of times when the people close to us, our family, our friends, it seems like they might shrug off or forget what we're dealing with. And maybe they do. I don't know for sure. But I think in a lot of cases, what it is they just don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't want to say something that's going to make it worse. And they don't want to, try to say something that, in their mind might seem like it's helpful, but maybe it turns out it's not. Maybe it backfired. Maybe they're afraid of that. Who knows? But but a lot of times, I mean, I had close friends that when I went through very similar stuff, in fact, dropping out of university because of depression, having a nervous breakdown halfway through the middle of my second semester at university, and just I had to quit. I had to quit school. I didn't know what to do. I remember getting my first marks for my first term, and I was national honor student in high school. I graduated, and I was a National Honor Society, so I had the gold cords and the thing and the whatever, right? Because I was National Honor Society. I got good, really, really, really good grades, right? So I did good in school. Then I got to college, and I was after my first semester, I was on academic probation. I had less than a 1 point average. Yeah,
It's pretty bad.
less than one.
Happens.
It was 0 point something, right? And I was stressed out to the maximum. I was there because, I mean, I was in school because I thought that's what everybody expected me to do, and that was the only reason I was there, because I didn't really want to go to college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I felt like it was a waste of my time. And so I just turned to, I slept in. I slept in till like 3 in the afternoon. I stayed, whatever. So I missed all my classes all the time, right? And I just didn't apply myself. And, looking back, I probably could have applied myself and maybe not had such a hard struggle. But either way, like what Ryan was saying, it was beautiful to have gone through that, because I learned some stuff. I learned some stuff about me, and I learned some stuff about life. And I also learned, Marshmallow, are you trying to take my title of worst student? No, I'm not. I was just trying to explain the contrast, because I felt so out of place and because I felt so stressed about where I was, right? It was just like a night and day difference. And then, so afterwards, what happened? So I had a nervous breakdown. I dropped out of university, and I came home, and I was at my parents' house, and I would struggle with panic attacks for a while. My parents didn't have any idea what to do. They just were like, they were worried sick, I'm sure, and I know this for a fact because they've told me. But they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what was going on. They just were in reaction mode, trying to, do whatever they could to help with whatever, right? And so I ended up, I ended up in the emergency room with a panic attack, because I wasn't moving. I couldn't move, and there was all kinds of craziness because my brain just would lock up. And so I ended up seeing a specialist. And I would encourage anybody, it doesn't have to get to that point before you start seeing a therapist. I would encourage, you know, there's a stigma attached to that. People are like, oh, if I see a therapist, that means there's a problem. You know what? I got news for you. There's always a problem. You're alive. There's problems are all around you, in your life and around your life and outside your life, everywhere. There's problems, right? And so when we have trouble sorting things out, it's okay to see a therapist, because one thing that I've learned about a therapist is, yes, they have an education. They know how to handle someone who's dealing with a mental challenge, like who's dealing with trying to figure things out. They understand how to do that. But really, the true value that I found in having a therapist was he listened to me, and he didn't judge me. He listened. to like the stuff I was going through. And I knew he paid attention. Sometimes he took notes. It's not like the classic psychiatrist, hey, lay down on the couch while I take notes on you. Right? It wasn't like that. But he did listen. And you know what else he did? He told me that it was going to be okay. Because I was really, really concerned about a lot of stuff. I see in your post that you also are concerned about a lot of stuff. You're worried. There's a lot of things that you're worried about. And I understand that's totally normal. But what I learned from my therapist was he listened to me, and he listened to me talk about, all the things I was concerned about. Like, I'm supposed to be in college. I couldn't make it in college. I just, I got too stressed out and I dropped out, and now my future is shot because I dropped out of college, and all this stuff was going through my head. And he told me, he's like, you know what? I have friends that I call them parachute people. And I'm like, why do you call them parachute people? He said, because they just parachute into a new city every once in a while. And then they just like, hey, they get a job and they find a place to live and they save up money. They live simply, they work, they enjoy the place they're in. And then you know what they do? They take saved and they move to another city. They just parachute in. No, they don't literally like jump out of a plane with a parachute into the city, but they go to this new city.
Technically legal.
Right. But they just go to this new city. They take the money they saved. They get an apartment. They find a job. They live there for a while. They work. They live simply. They save money. And their life is a grand adventure. And they're not worried about health insurance. They're not worried about all this other stuff, right? They're in a way, they're kind of living by the seat of their pants, but things are working out and they're wonderful people. So you can totally do things like what he did by doing that, by explaining the situation, by listening to me, was he opened the door to new ideas where I started to understand no matter what my life, no matter what happens in my life, it can turn out okay. It can be fine. And that's why I'll say this a lot on this show. It's like, it's going to be okay no matter what you decide. Even if you change your mind, even if you decide one way and then like 2 weeks later, you're like, well, I've changed my mind. It's going to be okay. It's all right. We're here. We're here to live this life, right? We got this life that we've been handed. None of us asked to be here. Right? Did you?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember asking.
We just got thrown in here, right? And it's like, hey, figure it out. And we're like, what? So it helps, especially when you're dealing with a situation like this. I would definitely don't worry about what your mom or your dad or what. I mean, don't worry about if it feels like they might be, setting aside your feelings. They just might not know what to say. They might just not know what to do. That is okay. So then, yes, I would say seek a therapist, because they're going to, for one, it might be the only person that you feel actually listens to you when you talk. I saw this person as a therapist, and then I ended up seeing another therapist years later when I was dealing with a little bit of an issue, and I didn't want it to get out of control. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go now to see a therapist. And at the time, there was a community mental health area, like office in my city, and I think it was free. And I made an appointment, and I went in and I talked to this lady for, I don't know, an hour, and we had like maybe 3 sessions. And just her listening and allowing me to talk through the stuff I needed to talk through, that just by itself got me back on track enough where I didn't really have to go anymore because I was able to kind of just like pick myself up and start walking along the path. But that might be all you need. Now, maybe you need more, and they will know how to get you more. They will know how to help you in those ways. Like we say in the disclaimer, we're not professional therapists. We're not anything like that. Absolutely, we are not. We just want to be your friend and help you in whatever way we possibly can. And we understand that sometimes that's the way to go. Sometimes professional help is the way to go. They are professionals because that's what they do. And I know there's a lot of online ones. There's a lot of like hotlines. There's a lot of phone, different ones. We've toyed around with the idea of like having one here, like that we could pick, but I don't know which one. I'd have to like go through and vet some of them in order to make that happen. But either way, I would definitely continue to seek. So anyway, I've talked for a while. I'm going to turn over to Ryan and let him have a crack at this. So Ryan, it's all
All
yours.
right. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for saying all that. And I think, I definitely agree with you. I think that seeking someone who is a specialist over us is a wise idea. One of the things that immediately stood out to me here, you said, I'm struggling against myself. Like I find myself constantly sad, stressed, disappointed, powerless, and heartbroken for no reason at all. Nothing has to even happen anymore. A regular day just goes by, and at the end of it, I get the same feeling of powerlessness as in the lowest point of my life. And I think that that really stands out to me in one way in particular. It makes me question if you feel like you have a purpose. When you're in life, sometimes you feel disconnected to like, why am I here? What am I doing? What's my purpose? What are my goals? What's my value? I think these questions are important as a human being. Human beings suffer from this kind of situation more than any other animal in existence. We have incredibly powerful minds, but those powerful minds are capable of realizing so much. And it might even be capable of realizing that we're not noticing our purpose. We might be there and we might feel like, what am I doing here? And it gives you the sense of disappointedness in yourself. It makes you stressed out because you want to live your life and make it mean something. We look at our lives and we might feel we're insignificant, powerless, like you said, because we feel so little. We feel like we've done so little and we're capable of so little. And I want to take a moment to just tell you that notion is, and I know you know this, but that notion is incorrect. Your mind can think these things, but it doesn't mean it's true. Your mind might think you powerless, but it doesn't make you powerless. Your mind might think you a tomato, but you're not a tomato, my friend. And neither are you a potato.
But maybe a potato. Sorry.
No, Joe.
Not that either, huh?
No, not even a potato.
Not even a potato.
Would you believe it? Not even a patata.
I would believe it because you said it.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me that trust and that respect to just believe whatever I say. Wow, that's great.
Hey, anybody who has a plush made after them, I believe them.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no.
Barney the dinosaur. All right. Okay. So my point is this. Do you feel as though you're disconnected from maybe your purpose? And you can reply in the chat, because that's kind of my initial instinct, is that maybe you're looking at your life and you're not noticing what you're living it for. We live life to live for something, or else we feel like we're living without anything. And it's weird. to live as if to die for something is one of the greatest honors and enjoyable ways to live. And that sounds weird, because why would you live to die for something? But rather, it's more important that we find a reason, something that we believe in strong enough to die for, if that makes sense. Find a purpose, find a reason, right? Because if we're going on this earth and we don't know why we're here, we don't know what we're going to do with ourselves. And, there's a sense of that that's normal, that's fine. But at some point, we're going to have conflict with ourselves. At some point, we're going to be disheartened by ourselves, because we'll live for so long that we'll just look at ourselves and go, well, what are you doing? You said, I honestly find it rather hard to pinpoint what I live for. I used to think that I want to live to make my friends' lives better. I had phases where I wanted to live to entertain others. And it continues. I'll read the rest when it pops up. Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, that's a good start. It's a good start. And I think it's important to keep on delving into that. He said, and I guess then at the lowest levels, I used to think that I live for just not to upset others when suddenly disappearing, or with suddenly disappearing, right? I remember, at a very early age of like 8 or something, maybe 7. The first time I thought about just dying, I was upset with how life was going, and I was upset with my mom and stuff like that. And I was just sitting in my room, and I was just like, maybe if I just disappear. And then immediately I just kind of almost started crying, because I realized how much pain that would cause other people. And I think that is a honest, sincere reaction, and it's an important thing. We humans thrive on communication, our relationships. These are important things. We value other people, and that value is true, and it should be valued. We should value other people. We also have to value ourselves, right? The only difference between valuing other people and valuing ourselves is that we're responsible for ourselves. We're not responsible for other people. So what you choose to do with yourself, you can only blame yourself, and you can only hold yourself accountable. So it's important to figure out, beyond other people, why you're staying here, right? And I don't mean to say, if you can't find a reason, well, then why are you staying? Just leave. What I mean is, there is a reason. There's a notion that Japan and Korea especially take to heart, and that is, to have value, it is required of you to show it. Your value in the world is based on how much better you made the lives of those around you in your community. And that's kind of sounds noble, right? Kind of sounds right. However, Japan and Korea also have some of the highest suicide rates, not just in the world, but in all time. Why? Because of that fundamental idea, that notion. Because they can't find a reason within themselves to be valuable outside of the construct of their society. If I'm not doing something, I must not have value. If I didn't do something to make myself recognizable in the past, to make myself this elder, right? So someone might be old and they stay alive and they have value, but it's only because of their past. To be old and come of age and there's no necessary thing that you have done in the past and nothing that you're doing now is one of the worst places to be in life for that, for someone in that civilization. That's rough. What I'm trying to say is this: you have value outside of your doings. You have value as a human being outside of your actions and outside of your relationships, right? So you have to start with that. You have to understand that. And then from there, you can say, well, okay, not what am I going to do with my life, but what am I living for? It's a completely different question. Does that make sense? What I'm living for isn't necessarily what I'm going to do with my life. They should align, and the more they align, the happier you're going to be. But what am I living for is an entirely different question once you realize that what you do does not change that fact, and what you do does not change the value of your life. Finding purpose within doesn't mean that you need to do something extraordinarily different that no one else has ever done. Some people enjoy working. This may blow your minds. Some people enjoy working behind the counter of a gas station. Some people just enjoy it. I would probably be one of those people. It lines up perfectly with my personality. But that being a thing that I can do, right, doesn't mean that I'm less valuable than someone who spends their day helping other people fix their problems, like a specialist, right? Every job that exists in this world plays a role in advancing our civilization. Ultimately, that's what we do. That's why we have, right? We have these jobs that help feed people, and then we have jobs outside of that that then take civilization to the next level, that provide a service, right? And that's awesome. But those things are equal because they're all needed. They're all useful. They're all things that different people will be doing. Whether you own a company or you work as the lowest level of a employee, or you don't even work at all, it doesn't change your level of power. It might change your level of influence, but it doesn't make you any weaker. It doesn't make your soul weaker, right? Now, there are people who are physically stronger. The people who are physically stronger aren't usually those in power in society. People who are physically strong are building houses, cutting down trees, farmers, that type of thing, right? They've got a lot of physical power. Then there's people who have a lot of mental power, and they come up with equations and solve epidemics and things like that, right? Then you've got people who are in social power. They help navigate the systems and establishments that run our society today, right? All great things. And you have people who seemingly might not have any power. They stand alone in their room doing nothing but playing a game, and it's a solo game. They're not even talking to anybody, right? And they just play it by themselves. And it seems like, well, what is that person doing with their life? Shouldn't they feel ashamed of themselves? And the answer is absolutely not. Because first of all, everyone has potential to change. So whether you look at someone and you say, wow, they're not doing anything right now, they must do nothing forever, is a stupid idea. It's a stupid conclusion to draw. Of course they're capable of doing something more than what they're doing right now. When I sleep, I'm not doing much. But when I wake up, I can do a whole lot more, right? We're constantly in flux. People who are in power are constantly in flux. People who are strong, right, physically, they get knocked down. They could get ill. They could get sick, and all of a sudden they're weak. People who are socially strong, they do something really dumb, and they're just like voted out, right? Does that make them worthless? Does that make them powerless? No, not at all. But then there's this another concept, and that is outside of what your potential is as a human being, your value as something that exists in the world. Your soul. Your soul has a value, and it's irrelevant to your body. It's not based, your soul's value is not based upon your body or upon your physical actions, right? And it's up to you to decide how one's soul is valued. But the way I decide, for the way I think, a lot of times when we try to decide the value of anything in life, right? We think about, okay, how useful is it? Right? That's not true. Here's an example. Someone hands you a piece of paper. It's your friend. The paper is blank. but it's a piece of paper altogether. The paper isn't valuable to you at all. It's not useful. Suddenly a bully comes up and tries to take the paper from you. What do you choose to do? You defend the stupid piece of paper, don't you? It's blank. Why? Why? That's more like your value. Does that make sense? Because your value isn't based on your usefulness. It's based on something much more, something that we almost can't even define. We almost can't even understand it. You're worth protecting because you are. Why? Could be any number of reasons, but I say it's because you are good and you are made to be good. And goodness has value all its own. That paper is good. It's not bad. It's good. But what's more important is the friendship that you are protecting by protecting the piece of paper. It's the fact that you don't own that paper, and yet you hold it dear because of the person who gave it to you. There are some in this world who would even be handed a piece of paper by a bully, and a friend would approach to tear it up, and they would protect that piece of paper. And we would call that person, wow, you're incredibly good. Why? Because they even value the lives and the relationships of those who bully them. So much as to turn away from a friend who wanted to do harm to an inanimate object. That's a beautiful thing, right? And you're beautiful in the same way. And I know that's really abstract. And I'm keeping it that way because it's something for your mind to debate. And that's part of the process of coming to love who you are, to enjoy the good that you are and that you exist. You don't get to exist and redo this all. You only get to exist here once. Love it. Love it. It might be painful. It might be sad. It might be stressful. It might sometimes feel disappointing or render you heartbroken. It might feel like you're just a grain of sand, powerless. Regardless of all of that, regardless of all those feelings, love it. Love every stinking moment of it. Why? Because it's a whole lot better than hating it, right? Obviously, one. And two, because it's a lot more worth it. When you seek enjoyment, when you seek love out of your suffering, you find reward. When you seek love and enjoyment, knowledge out of your suffering, you are rewarded. But if you feel these sufferings and you choose not to, you only feel the suffering. It's not until you climb the tree that you find out that you're able to withstand like getting scrapes and cuts and not even noticing them. If you were to take your hand and rub it across a tree and then just stare at it, it would be like, wow, that hurts. But if you rub your hand across the tree while you're climbing it, that adrenaline, that achievement, that looking for something better, looking for the good in the moment, despite the pain, your brain just nulls it and says, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to get to the top of this tree. That's the point of this. And so don't pay attention so much to how you suffer. Pay more attention to the love and all of the little tiny details put into you and your life that make you and your existence beautiful and good. Learn to love to suffer so that you can draw out the fullness of what the suffering is for. Because if you can live that way, nothing will get in the way of there's nothing that can stop you from achieving what you want in life, which is mainly happiness. You can take any bad and turn it into good. And that's beautiful. It's the greatest wisdom I could ever share as a human being that I've come across. And it comes from the Holy Spirit. It comes from living my life and getting to experience it and all of that. But anyhow, I'm going to stop here. And I hope that makes sense. And I hope that reassures you of your life and guides you, starts to guide you in a direction where you don't feel so disappointed in yourself. And you can recognize that you're so much more. Anyways, I'm going to give it over to Joe. Joe, do you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
Well, I love listening to you talk about suffering and the beauty that can come from it, and to take something that's negative and turn it to good, and really to be a redeemer in that sense, where that's because that's what that word means, to take the bad and make it good. Right? You redeem it. And so that we can do that with anything that comes our way. We can. And I love what you're talking about, Ryan, because really a lot of beauty in this world comes out of pain. I know for artists and musicians, a lot of the most beautiful work they do comes through moments of pain. I know that's true for me in music. So I'd encourage you, Lay, as you're going through your painful moments, if you have a creative outlet, whether it's writing or art or music or something that, it doesn't have to be one of the arts as such. It can be engineering, it can be drafting, it can be architecture, it can be, who knows what it is, but something.
It could be relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be relationships. See, I only think of these things because I'm an introvert, so I always think of tasks.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just trying to expand. It can be so many things.
Yes, since I'm not an extrovert, that's not normally on my radar screen, especially when I'm in moments of depression. I'm usually thinking about some kind of task where I can hide away from everybody and do something, but you can create something beautiful in those moments. You totally can. And do you guys, all you guys in the chat, do you guys remember when I talked about the parable of the two buckets?
Parable.
Ryan, do you remember the parable?
Oh yeah, it's great. I like that one a lot.
And this is such a good thing. I mean, I don't know. Marshmallow says the best. Oh, maybe not. Oh, he remembers too. Okay, well, maybe if you guys all remember it, then maybe I won't say it. But Saula doesn't remember the two buckets. All right, so there's these two buckets, right? And buckets talk, because in a story, all buckets talk. Now, see, I'm starting like Nemo's dad in Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
You see, there's a mollusk, and normally mollusks don't talk, but in a joke, everyone talks. So, but all right, so there's these two buckets, and like the owner of the buckets, he carries them down. He has a yoke, right? And he has ropes on him, and he carries them down to the water, to the stream every day to draw water and bring them back to his house and dump them in the cistern so he can have water for the day. And he does that every day. And so he's got two buckets. One bucket is like this gleaming, beautiful, brand new, shiny, awesome, strong, and powerful bucket. Does its job so well. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing, right? I mean, it just holds every drop of that water. It balances just right and everything. The other bucket's old and kind of ratty, and it's got some holes in it and leaks. And every day the farmer, the guy, he uses both those buckets as he goes down and he gets water and he comes back to the house. And by the time he's back to the house, half the water is gone from. So the bucket doesn't feel very useful. He's like, oh my gosh, You know, like I am nothing compared to that really useful bucket. Look at how strong he is. Look at how like sexy he is. Look at how beautiful and shiny and oh my gosh, and he's so productive. I mean, look at how much he can get done. And so this leaky, broken bucket was feeling envious. Yes, the sexy bucket.
Man, that bucket's sexy.
Isn't that how we are? We feel broken and we feel beat up and we feel leaky and we feel tattered. And we look at the people around us and they're all like, they got their lives put together and maybe they got a good income and a good job and they're married and their marriages are doing well and their kids are in all the activities and they can support everything and it looks great. Right? And that's how this bucket felt. And so he asked the farmer one day, he said, you know, why do you even keep me around? Like I am useless. By the time you're back, I have half the water left in my bucket, you know, and like, so I'm not even useful to you. I'm not even like filling up the cistern very well. Like, what is going on? And the farmer said, you know what? We're going to go down to the water and you pay attention. You just look down as I'm walking back to the house. And what you'll notice is on your side is a beautiful row of flowers that I've planted. And you serve in the way of watering those flowers as I walk back to the house. And without you, those flowers wouldn't be there. And so you bring beauty to our lives through watering those flowers. And I remember the first time I heard that, and the second time, and the third time, and every time I heard that, and I remember that story. You know what? Because we feel like that leaky bucket. We feel like we're useless. I mean, that is such a classic story that should be told to everybody in Japan and Korea because it shows that our usefulness is not always what it may seem. You know, our value is not necessarily in our usefulness or in what society may deem us as useful. Our value lies elsewhere. And like Ryan was saying, our value lies in our existence. You are an anomaly. There's never been anybody like you before, and there will never, ever be anybody like you again. Your DNA strand is 100% unique, and there's a reason for you to be here. And also, to shamelessly plug a Static P song, there's a reason for your suffering. And maybe listen to that song. Because you know what? Through suffering and pain comes some of the most beautiful moments. It happened in a song, you know, I tell this story all the time too. A song when I was losing my house, and I played this one little guitar part of this one song as all that pain was crushing down on me. And to me, that's one of the most moving parts of that whole, you know, that whole album that Ryan and I worked on together. And maybe it's personal because I remember that. And seriously, I listened to that song again. It's been 10 years since we wrote that album together, since we produced it. And I heard that song the other day. I just like, oh, hey, I haven't heard this song in a while. It just kind of auto played from my files on my phone. You know, I was listening to other stuff and like it just came up. I was like, oh, wow, I'll listen to that song. And I cried again. 10 years later. But you know what? Those moments bring beauty. And so I would encourage you, find that. Well, he says, we are all anomalies in a world of anomalies, I guess. You're absolutely right.
I remember I had a friend who would say, remember you're special, just like everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? That's supposed to sound sad, but it's absolutely awesome because it's so true and it's a good thing. It's a good way to remember your place. Like, hey, you're special just like everybody else.
Mhm.
So don't count yourself out. There's other people who are doing awesome. You're awesome. You know,
You're
and treat other
absolutely
people
right.
awesome too. If you think that you're anything special, realize that other people are special just like you, but they're not special in the same way.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yep. So anyway, but that's all I pretty much had. So I really
Awesome.
appreciate the topic, Lay, and I hope some of this made a difference. I hope you find somebody you can talk to, because I mean that really, if you can find, just for the fact of you don't have to pay lots and lots and lots of money, you know, but you might pay a little bit to seek a professional, and the value might be just in the fact that you get somebody to pour out your thoughts to, that's
Mhm.
going to listen and
Yeah.
not judge you. Those are the two keys, because then you're going to go away from there and you're going to be like, you know what, I'm a worthwhile person. This is not a big deal. I can make this happen. I can work. I can I can make this work out. It's okay. And that's a beautiful thing. So anyway, that's all I got. Ryan?
Yeah, no, I don't really have a whole lot else, Master Lay. I just hope that you can think hard about what we're able to talk about, and find a way out. We've talked about many times, so I refrained from talking about the subconscious mind and habits. We can have those habits that draw us towards thinking certain things. If we focus on certain things, it's kind of what I said. Don't focus on your sorrow. Don't focus on your sadness. Don't focus on your powerlessness. It'll only add to it. Not saying that it's bad to focus on a problem. It can be good to focus on a problem, but only with the solution in mind, right? You have to identify the things that are going wrong in order to find a solution for it. But to identify those things that are going wrong and just complain about it, it only renders us more problematic to ourselves. So my point was, I just kind of avoided saying all of the, you know how the subconscious mind works. We talked about it before. So anyhow, thank you so much for the question. Thanks for the post. Thanks for being open with us, and for sharing more in the chat as we talked. I think that's awesome. And just like Joe said, I hope you find someone that you can just kind of let it all out to. And then once it's out, it just feels out and you're okay. Sometimes that's all you need. But yeah, don't be afraid to seek out a therapist if you give it some time and thought and you feel yourself still trapped after our discussions today. Then yeah, don't be afraid to seek out someone else who's a professional. And I understand maybe not wanting to go to your mom. That's understandable. And you don't have to. But one thing you could always do is not go to your mom as a specialist, but go to your mom as a mom. And I think that's important, right? So anyways, with that, thank you so much. We love you, Lay. You're amazing. Your sense of personality and your humor is just, you're wonderful to be around whenever I get the chance. But yeah, I think that kind of puts us at our time. By the way, if you'd like, you can go to vss.studio and engage in our shopping portal where you can buy merchandise. You can get some songs. They're 20% off right now. If you use the code launch party, you can also check out the forums
since we've been
and all
on
that
this
kind of stuff.
show. Let me just take a look here. I know some orders came in during the show, so thank you guys very much.
Aw, thanks guys.
So
You're awesome.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
This is awesome.
Let me take a look here. Oh, we've got a couple. Some people, they're buying this.
Oh, really? What is that?
This is the CD. Should I show them the secret?
What's a CD?
A compact disc.
Take the one thing out. It looks so good without it. That's why I always like, every time I see it, I'm just like, take that stupid thing off. No. Look at that. That is beautiful.
Because that's Haruka. That's one of the best pictures of Haruka from the whole series. My favorite, actually. Yes.
Yeah.
And on the back of this, oh no, it's stuck to my book. You get Static P right there. Look at that guy. Look at him. He's doing that.
Wow.
I took that picture. I'm super proud of that.
Yeah,
I remember taking that picture and I was like, oh, that's
remember
gonna
that
be a
picture
good
being
one.
taken.
I'm like, that's gonna end up on something. And
Nice.
then it is, right?
There it is,
Yep.
just like that.
You got a cool booklet to look into and everything. And then the other thing that has been purchased since we started this show is this right here.
Ooh, look at that! I got one of those.
Yeah. This
These things
book
are awesome.
is so full of wonderful art from so many people.
Hmm.
In
Who?
particular, Rainy. You know, I
Rainy
gotta
especially.
I gotta go to this page because look, there's that picture of Hanukkah again.
It's amazing you know exactly what page that's on. You
I do. Yes, I know exactly where it is. I have a very intimate knowledge of this book. I've looked through it many, many times.
Mhm.
It's very
and
good.
you also helped make it.
Yes.
Why it's
Marshmallow
so
says,
good.
does the coupon work for shower curtains?
Uh,
You know,
we don't have the shower curtains up yet.
curtain available yet. Ah, man. But thank you for reminding us. You know, we're gonna give Kyle a headache.
We'll
We
have
were
to get
talking
these
about
up
other
too.
ideas and everything too. Yes,
Look
we
at
need to
she's
do
cute,
that.
isn't she? Don't
Oh.
you think she's cute? Look at her.
Brian, you have all those, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a whole pack of them.
Okay. Because I need to get together with you. Yeah. So we'll talk after the stream, but we need to
Fuzzy.
get together in person. Maybe you can hand those off to the shipping department.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can
I'll
start-
hand them off to you when I get there. Go there to sign a couple of books.
Mhm.
But yeah, we need those shower curtains, don't we, guys?
Oh, So Sola says giving a payment method error. Try another method. That's interesting. I'm not sure what to do with that. So, I guess one of the best things to do, you can start a support request. I know we've been going through those. The person to get in touch with about that generally is Kyle. And you can email just kyle@bss.studio. He would be able to get that figured out for you. And even if it goes till after this, if you wanted to get the 20% off and you didn't quite get in time because of this issue, then, you know, we'd find a way to make that happen for you. There's no big deal. So,
So your brother was buying it for you, but he's already gone to bed. That's fair. Yeah, wake him up. Just no, just kidding. Don't wake him up. You'll see him in the morning and then talk to him about it. Thanks for the suggestion, Weasley. That's funny.
But yeah, just if you email kyle@bss.studio, let him know the issue that was going, and then you know, we can figure out whatever you wanted to do.
Mhm.
So that'll work just fine.
That's
So
super
we
awesome.
just appreciate all you guys. You know, like I said at the beginning, I'm now the BSS shipping department, and I got myself caught up on shipments today.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Not anymore. I'm excited.
bought
I've
some
got
stuff.
stuff to do back there now. This is good
Yeah.
because, you know, we just got a whole shipment. I became the receiving department too because it just got like 1,000 boxes delivered. So all you guys can have your boxes.
What
I got a
box?
bunch of them.
You can have Box Chan delivered right to your doorstep, and inside Box Chan is whatever you ordered. It's pretty awesome.
What about the feather? Marshmallow, what about the feather? You know what? If you're subscribed to this channel, after this show ends, just go back here and you'll see what's coming up next. Free for All Friday. There's a big old feather right there for you to enjoy and look at. And it's free. It'll be all over your computer screen.
Free for
Right
your
there.
eyes.
Big old feather.
Something
can
better
look
than
at
that.
Yep, it'll be good. So you need to
Yes,
write-
Princess, you got in before the Box Chan started. Yeah.
Sorry.
You'll have to write box on your own box if you didn't destroy it already. A lot of people already destroyed their boxes. We're sorry.
Turtle Dude, if you bought something today, I can just about guarantee it will say box on the box.
Yep.
Because I write it on all of them. And it's hilarious. I can't wait
It's
till the
hilarious.
post office starts asking me about that.
Why are these labeled box? They're a box.
And I'll be
Obvious.
like, you know what you need to do? You need to go check out episode 2. You will understand.
Yeah.
Many things will become clear.
You know, if they ask what a box is, you just pull the card out and you just say, "Hey, you know, you play the card." You know, have you ever heard of Criminal Idol? Oh, you haven't. Oh, well, let me show you. And then that's how you make new fans.
Now I'll
Boom.
just have a book with me. I'll just have this book with me, and I'll have the dog ear page or something. Look, hey, look, episode 2, right? Let's see. Where's
Episode
it
2.
at? Oh, episode 0 is so long, like it's like
It is.
majority of the book. And then oh, look, here's Detective. And there's artwork by Static P right there. It's really cool.
Wow. I made
Oh,
it
yes.
into the
And
book,
then
huh?
Row draws. I mean, there's
That's
great
right.
artwork by Row. Oh, there it is.
Box.
Box.
It says box. Right on it. Wow.
But that's kind of the black and white one. That's the one with the cool little effect where half of its color and half of its outline.
Yeah.
That one, that was pretty
That's cool.
fun. But then you get into here. Oh, look, there's box.
There it is. Look at that box.
Box in
Oh,
all its
yeah.
glory, man. No wonder
Look
people
at
thought
that
Box
sexy
was the
box.
bomber.
Yeah, of course.
I always
How could-
figured it'd be
and
the
what about
book,
Chair
Dance
Shot?
Like an
Yeah.
Idol 101.
Yeah. That's what it was. It was the book right in front of the counter the whole time. They was like right in front of your face. The bomber. Like literally. No.
Yes,
All
Wave
right.
Slayer. We asked that question on the live
You guys are
stream
weird.
on Friday. Well, how come he isn't sitting in the chair? There's a chair there, but he's not sitting in it.
Yeah, he's in a chair, or maybe he's really small standing, or maybe he's sitting in a nothing, sitting in air. Maybe he's kneeling. Who knows? But either way, yeah, there definitely is a chair next to him. It is
Yep.
suspicious.
Here's a close up of Cole. I don't think he's in a chair.
It's hard to say. It doesn't look like he is, right?
Uh,
Uh-huh. Well,
and there's the whole picture again. I see.
I mean, the artist, whoever
There is
drew
a book.
this, knows what they're doing. It's clear. No. Look at that.
Yep. I don't know. That's
Oh,
good.
that's funny.
Either way, there's lots of good stuff. So you guys, go there. 20% off for the next 47 minutes ish,
All right.
give or take.
Thank you guys so much. Get your orders in now if you haven't already, and don't worry. Don't worry, Saul. If you're worried that you won't get the % off because of the troubles you're going through right now, we'll figure out a way to make sure that it happens for you. And yeah, thank you guys so much. We love you, and we're so glad to have you. And thank you for spending your time with us. We'll see you next time on Don't Worry Wednesday, or if you stop by tomorrow, Free for All Friday. It's going to be around the same time, and we'll be
Friday.
excited to see you then. And oh yeah, sorry, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. It'll be Friday though. Some people it's Thursday for them, and so it is tomorrow for Friday. But that's not. It's not 24 hours. That's completely wrong. Anyways, you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. Shut
I'm
up.
wrong. I'm
All right, guys.
I'm
See you
used
guys
to that.
later.
I am married.
Yeah, I'm lying. I'm wrong. You're right. All right. Fine. See you later, guys. I love you all.
Love you
Bye-bye.
guys.